Yeah, the bullseye is on the back of these 6 players whom the panel have decided to keep, or has decided to keep, in the fight for 3 spots. Batting positions 3 to 5 in the SportsMax Ultimate One-Day International 11. Measures Lara, de Villiers, Ponting, Sangakkara, Viv Richards, Virat Kohli. Which 3 will be left standing when the panel of experts and the zone panel are done cutting and carving with their knives? Pleasant afternoon to you once again. Thank you very much for tuning in to the SportsMax Ultimate 11 discussion right here on SportsMax Zone on SportsMax. The ODI side is getting the treatment now. I remind you that our picks on the zone host, 30%, the value. The expert panel, the value of their picks, 30%. And of course, the fans online, you can go and vote as many times as you like. Your vote is worth 40%. SportsMax.tv/ultimate. That's what you should type in, or just go to sportsmax.tv on the landing page. You'll see the Ultimate 11 tab. You click that tab and you'll go straight to heaven. So, Lance, this was a very difficult selection in the Ultimate Test 11, and we felt that the ODI 11 positions 3 to 5 would perhaps even be more difficult than those difficult selections for the Test team. Yeah, and as we saw with the Test team, a couple of West Indians in there, because at the moment we have Lara and Viv Richards remaining, so 2 West Indians against a Sri Lankan, an Aussie, an Indian, and a South African. Yes. Very, very tough call. Viv Richards narrowly missed out in the Test. He was as compelling a white ball or a 50-over batsman as he was with a Test game, and I'm anxiously waiting to see him being placed where he deserves in the ODI setup. I have a strong feeling that he'll make the 11 this time. Let's welcome today's panel international cricket commentator Fazir Mohammed. He's working alongside David Brooke, who joins us from Oxford, England. Both men are commentators of note. Regional umpire Chris Taylor is in Jamaica, as is cricket analyst Kerry Scott, who has a very dodgy knee that he will not rest. He keeps coming to the football factory in Jamaica and keeps being helped off the field by generous gentlemen. He's too fat, I can't lift him up, so there you go. But he's a good lad, Kerry Scott is, and he joins us for this Ultimate Cricket Series. Kerry Scott, good afternoon, my friend. Let me talk to you first.
Yeah, boy, I tell you what, you know, it's a thing when you get that first chance to, you know, give that intro. Now you've set the stage, and all I can say is, when I see you at the factory, I deal with it, sir.
Yeah, but Kerry, you must remember, Kerry, that I'm faster than you and you can't run, so you're going to have to ask somebody to chase me for you on your behalf.
I don't know, Chris did that for me.
All right, so let's stay with you, Kerry, because these men have been with us since this segment of the Ultimate 11 series started, and in the case of Fazir, he came since we started talking about the ODI team. So it's proper, Kerry, for us to ask you about the 6 men that are left standing for selection positions 3 to 5. We could be kind by helping him with the graphics once again. So Kerry, run the rule over this 6 for us, please.
All right, so for me, when I was looking at the 6, the first thing came to mind was, you know, why did we choose this 6? Because this 6 presents some different things that are, some people may believe that they are intangible in some sense, but to me, in terms of cricket, they are very tangible. Now, for instance, when you look at an era that Viv would have played in, which would have been totally different from what the modern-day cricketers are playing in. Virat Kohli, with all the different rules and regulations, that has to count for something. And in that case, when I was going through all of them, I was at pains trying to use the most critical, analytic mind that I could find to pull out why I would present you know, that front 3, as I would put it. And I believe, as I said, all of them have presented a total or some different facets of the game that are very important. I mean, I tell you very quickly, I even brought things down to the number of man of the match awards that they won, you know, just to see what kind of impact each of them would have had on the game at different times.
Wow, going down to the minutiae, the number of man of the match awards. There's a man here who has a hatful, and then there are some others who have even more than that. Let's look at the players individually, looking at their strengths and their weaknesses. Let's start with the Prince of Port of Spain, BC Lara. Second most runs in ODI cricket for the Windies. 19 centuries, 63 50s in the format. The first West Indian to pass 10,000 ODI runs, and he finished with 10,405 at an average of 40.48. There were a few World Cups with a few memorable innings, but unfortunately for BC Lara, there was no World Cup where he really dominated. There were, as I noted, a class innings here, a class innings there, but never a World Cup that you could say BC Lara really owned. Well, Fazir, do you agree with that analysis of Lara that, yes, if we are to use, and we're not saying that the World Cup ODI is the gold standard or is a gold standard, but we're just saying that there wasn't any of those tournaments where he really lit up, not really doing his talent justice in that space, but overall as an ODI player, his record is formidable, and he is, after all, BC Lara by any measure.
Well, I'm terrified to contradict you, Georgie, because given the way that you and Lance are pushing Viv Richards back into the team and basically influencing the process, I have my serious concerns about this, and I think we're going to need to have a steward's inquiry when this is all over as to exactly what is going on. Because I'm still smarting from Viv and not making the test team. I really take serious umbrage to that, but it is what it is, and the decision has been made. And as I said, I take Kerry's point about all of the analysis and so on, but as I said, in choosing between Hashim Amla and Rohit Sharma, because Hashim had a beard and Rohit didn't, sometimes it's as simple as that, because you're talking about world-class players. In the case of Brian Lara, he doesn't have a beard, so that doesn't come into the discussion at all, but he is a class player. The issue is, would Brian Lara have been the type of individual who could, one, intimidate the opposition to the extent that it would throw them off their game, and two, so dominate a tournament or over a lengthy period to the extent by sheer will of not just his ability, but his persona and the manner in which he would have taken charge of a situation? Would he qualify in that category? Because you're talking about exceptional players. If you look at it, of the 6 that we have left, they are all exceptional talents. So sometimes it might just take a matter of personal preference. It might take a matter of you like the style of a particular player rather than the substance of somebody else. So it's an interesting situation that we have in front of us, and I'm just glad that we're being railroaded by the SportsMax Zone team.
Gentlemen, I don't know, Lance speaks very well for himself. I'm going to take the liberty of speaking for him here. We can declare, both of us, and well, I don't know where Mariah's mind really is on this one, but she has some strong opinions which she can make herself. I can declare we are going to do everything in our power to get Viv Richards on this team. So you gentlemen are being warned. We are doing all that we can legally and otherwise to get Viv Richards on this panel. That's all I'll say for now. Let's look at the other player profile, Mr. Producer, because as Fazir said, this is an all.
I want to turn on my record and make sure that I have you on record saying that you are prepared to corrupt the process of such an esteemed organization as SportsMax Zone. So go right ahead.
All right, my friend. Let's keep the player profiles going. Chris, we're at Brian Lara, and Fazir gave his take on, and he raised 2 issues about 2 matrices that he would look at to evaluate Brian Lara in the context of the outstanding players that he's vying against for a space in positions 3 to 5 in this ultimate ODI 11. Talk to me about the Prince of Port of Spain in the context of purely an ODI batsman and match winner.
Yeah, Brian Lara's career, I mean, abundance in terms of match winning flair, style, and fear factor, I would certainly give him. I might get shot down for this, but my personal opinion is I don't think that Brian Lara gave the same level of respect to ODI cricket that maybe he gave to Test cricket. And even though he's a genius of the game, and I think, talented in so many ways, I think that he could have certainly have performed better. And if you remember a lot of Brian Lara's innings in the ODI arena, to me, it was a bit of, coming in, bashing it all around the place, and then if he gets out, he gets out. I mean, that level of necessary responsibility or necessarily always taking a game away from an opponent wasn't always there. And I think that's reflected in the fact that a man of his ability only scored 19 centuries. I think that he could have made close to even double that had he paid more attention, and as I use the word respect for the ODI game. I just don't think it was there in the same way to the Test arena, and it showed in the World Cup. As you said, he has 2 World Cup centuries. A memorable one against South Africa. I remember in the quarterfinals in, I think it was 1996. But apart from that, he scored 1 other century in a part of the tournament that you would say probably didn't matter. And many of the innings just didn't live up to that kind of dream that would have expected. But I agree with Fazir. Talent, style, flair, fear factor, all there from the Prince of Port of Spain.
Lance, Lara's standards are so high by virtue of what he produced before, and of course his undeniable talent. I remember this was a test match now in South Africa, the low ebb tour, let's call it that, where everybody made nothing. Lara made 75, and the late great Tony Cozier said, well, Lara's top scored at 75, but it's 150 something short of what is required. I was shocked, but then again, that's the talent he has, that's what he can produce. And if you translate that into the ODI arena, that pretty much sums up what Chris Taylor is saying about BC Lara as an ODI batsman. Let's move on to AB de Villiers and have the other 2 panelists weigh in, because this South African holds the record: fastest ODI century, fastest ODI half century, fastest ODI 150, and the ICC ODI Player of the Year 3 times. They called him Mr. 360. Are you impressed by what AB de Villiers did in his ODI career, David Brooke?
Oh, very much so, George. I'd say that not just the stats you put in front of us, it was the manner in which he played the game, the manner in which he scored his runs, just the liberties he was able to take with whatever the bowler was coming to him. I mean, some of the shots that you saw from AB de Villiers were kind of almost created for the ODI format. He was a player that came to life in this particular format. So if we're choosing the ultimate ODI side, you've got to go with someone whose passion, I think it's following up from the point Chris was saying, let's go with someone who has the passion for this format, who's going to...
And Kerry Scott, is it fair to say that it seems as if AB de Villiers at birth was ordained by his God to play white ball cricket and excel? Does his ODI career at least stay true to that statement, you think?
Yeah, in some ways. I think AB de Villiers is clearly one of the most complete white ball players, white ball batsman we've seen. Well, player, because he also will keep. But, so he struggled in the subcontinent for a couple tours. But outside of that, his career as a white ball player has largely been one that has been, one that has shown that he is a cut above the rest. When you talk about ODI cricketers,
I stretch the point to you, AB de Villiers, a man that you could bank on to give you big runs, crucial runs against any opposition in any era in the ODI game. Would you go as far as to say that?
No, because except when it really mattered. Because did you win a World Cup?
Exactly.
Did you win any major tournament? Because at the end of the day, why are you playing the game? Are you playing the game to be a show pony? To pile up all the runs in all the different tournaments? And I'm taking nothing away from his phenomenal talent. But why do you play sport? Why do you play the game if not to deliver at the moment that it's most required? And AB de Villiers didn't deliver.
Totally agree. Totally agree. I think...
Go ahead, Chris. I was coming to you. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Yeah, I was just butting in because I wanted to support. I mean, listening to David and Kerry, I certainly agree in terms of the talent of AB de Villiers. I don't think there are many players who have played the game that have the array of shots or the talent of AB de Villiers. But if you look at the critical moments for South Africa, when they needed him most to deliver, he was missing a lot of the times, AB de Villiers. He has, 4 World Cup centuries from playing in maybe 3 or 4 World Cups. And that sounds great. But when you look at the critical parts in the tournament, when you wanted AB de Villiers...
Break. This sounds good for Viv Richards because there are things that Chris has said that, are really, you can't accuse Viv of. And to answer Fazir's question, one of the great British writers, Simon Barnes, wrote a brilliant article years ago when he answered the question. He said, why do we play sport? We play sport for glory. And that's what Fazir and Chris are saying. And when glory was to be had, AB de Villiers didn't contribute to South Africa getting it. Let's move to one of Lance's favorite cricketers. I was going to say one of Lance's favorite Australians, but they all are favorites of Lance once they come from Australia.
That's not quite true, but go ahead, George.
The man from Tasmania. He has fast hands, they always say about him when he bats. Most ODI runs by an Aussie. Most ODI centuries by an Aussie. Most centuries by an Aussie in World Cup history. Unbeaten as a captain in World Cups, 35 games, what a record. And equal for the most Cricket World Cups won as captain. He had a gambling problem at a time in his career, but then he settled down and focused on cricket. And my, oh my, what a fine cricketer he was, and what an exhilarating batsman Ricky Ponting was. Chris Taylor, talk to me.
Yeah, for example, you look at Ricky Ponting, he may average maybe 10 runs less than AB de Villiers. But you think about his 2003, that World Cup where his second World Cup that he would have won first as captain. And you remember him losing Shane Warne at the beginning of that tournament, which would have been a big hit in Australia's chances. And Ricky Ponting certainly delivered with the bat, scored a magnificent 100 in that final, unbeaten, 140 to take Australia to victory. Now that, to me, is the kind of response you want to see from a big game player, a man who delivers when the time is right. Leading from the front as captain, won 2 World Cups as a captain, 5 World Cup hundreds. And if you look at when Ricky Ponting scored his hundreds, many of them came in a time when it was needed for Australia. It wasn't in the, preliminary round of a tournament. It came in the Super Sixes, the quarterfinals, the finals. And I think that is the final. And I think that is a big deal when looking at Ricky Ponting. Certainly aggressive. As you say, all of these players have that fear factor for the most part, maybe except one, and have that ability, that talent and so on, and versatile in terms of the order. But certainly Ricky Ponting, in terms of what he delivered, when he delivered, is big in the argument.
David, can I lean on you for a fair assessment of the Aussie?
Oh, that's a challenge. I'm trying to counter Lance's evident bias towards Australians. We haven't had an English player make any of these teams. I think Stokes has got a chance of getting in at 6. But when Fazir talks about a man who meets an occasion and delivers, then you'd have to say that Ben Stokes would fit that bill. As far as Ricky Ponting's concerned, yes, he did. If we have to put him in, we put him in. What can I say? Don't say any more than that.
All right, gentlemen. I like the fact you kept it short and sweet. Gentlemen, we're having fun. We're going to take a break. We'll come right back and we continue looking at the credentials of the outstanding 6 that are left standing. Batsmen, positions 3 to 5, the ultimate ODI 11. Will Viv Richards make it?
The panel nominate for the SportsMax Ultimate One Day International 11. We are at that much closer to getting to that point where we find out which of the 6 batsmen that we have looked at will be in line for those 3 spots, batting 3 to 5. Before that, let's zone in on the online numbers at the moment. Brian Charles Lara has charged to the top of the list at the moment in the online voting with 22.04% of the votes. Virat Kohli has 21.77%, AB de Villiers 17.47%, Viv Richards 14.78%, and Ricky Ponting 8.60%. If your favorite is not doing well, then you need to vote and get your friends and family to vote as well. Or discussions for the first 3 we've already looked at: Lara, de Villiers and Ponting, and now we look at the other 3, Kohli, Sangakkara and Viv Richards. Gentlemen, it's your time to look at the next 3 batsmen. Let's start with Virat Kohli, ICC ODI Player of the Year 3 times, 2012, 2017, 2018, highest average with a batsman with a minimum of 5,000 runs in ODIs. Second most ODI hundreds, 43. Only Sachin Tendulkar has more hundreds than he has. Fastest to 8, 9, 10 and 11,000 marks in ODIs. 5,388 runs in successful run chases at an average of 96.21. Most hundreds in successful run chases, 22. Tallied 1,000 ODI runs in a year, a record 11 times. Statistically, Virat Kohli is irresistible going into this list. David Brooke, let's get your take on Virat Kohli, the current India captain, who is still going strong.
Yeah, it's not just the statistical cases, Lance. It's the way he compiles his innings, his ability to pace a one-day innings, the sheer mastery that he exhibits. I think what Kerry was saying before, that, you know, in a way, the demands of the modern 50-over game with all the new regulations that have come in this era, and Kohli's proved to be the master of that. So, yeah, I think it's impossible to leave out Virat Kohli. I'd be amazed if any of my fellow panelists choose to vote against SportsMax for viewers' preferences as well.
Well, here we go again. David Brooke is joining the zone team of trying to...
But Faz, we didn't say anything, Faz.
Yes, it's something on it. No, David is smart. No, David is wise. David has learned.
But for the record, Faz, we didn't say anything. We didn't say anything, Faz, about Virat Kohli. Did we?
No, but I mean... No, but your very premise about Viv Richards, which I don't disagree with, by the way, but for someone of your caliber, Lance, for someone with the Kana experience, the RJR experience, that level of impartiality, you've sullied your copybook. Come on.
I have? All right, Faz, talk about Virat then. Talk about Virat then, because he's what we're talking about now.
The numbers are really compelling.
Yes.
They are irresistible, as David said. I mean, you can't really look beyond Virat Kohli and those numbers. But the thing that clinches it for me is that his idol is Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards. And
yes.
You see that in the way that he plays. It is about dominating the opposition. It isn't about just walking out there and just picking off the runs. It's about humiliating. It's about making a statement for the next match and the next match. He has an inner drive that I don't think any contemporary cricketer, you see it as obviously as you see in Virat Kohli. And therefore, he has the quality, he has the class, we know all about that. But those numbers are the result of someone who is just never satisfied with anything other than perfection.
All right, Kerry Scott, so that we can get Chris Taylor getting his comments on Virat Kohli. In 20 seconds, your take on Virat Kohli.
If I'm going to use the same measuring stick that Chris and Fazir use to measure AB, then I'm going to say that Virat Kohli falls short of the mark for me. If you look at what Virat Kohli has done in World Cup cricket, Virat Kohli has played some 20-odd games, or maybe some 20-odd innings, and he only has five or six half centuries, 2 centuries, and he has not won a World Cup for India. ODI World Cup for India. He has not won. Hold on. He has batted 20. He has played 26 innings. AB de Villiers has played 22 World Cup innings. So if we're going to be using the measuring stick,
Kohli won a World Cup in 2011.
Chris, we're talking about the measuring stick was the World Cup, was the 50-over World Cup. Let us not muddy the waters. We're talking about the 50-over World Cup. AB de Villiers has batted. Hold on, AB de Villiers has batted 22 times in World Cup, and he has an average of 63 in World Cup. 6 half centuries, 4 centuries. Virat Kohli, he has batted 26 times in World Cups, 6 half centuries, 2 centuries, average of 46.82. Which World Cup did he win for India?
No, he helped to lift a World Cup in 2011.
Which World Cup did he? What did he do in the finals on the big stage? What was his score in the finals?
I am agreeing with you. I am agreeing with you that he was not.
So he and AB is the same.
2011. However,
he and AB is the same.
Virat Kohli's innings generally for India.
No, Chris, you're more important what you're talking about. So if I were to use that measure, Chris, listen, if I were to use that measuring stick that you and Fazir use, then it's the same, whatever you...
No. All right, hold on. Kerry, hold on. So you've made that point, and that point resounds. Chris, respond. Give him the right of response, Kerry. Go ahead, Chris.
Yes.
No, I think myself and Fazia were saying, even though we used the World Cup as an assistant, was that AB de Villiers' innings generally for South Africa, a lot of the times have not come in the times when they have needed it most. He has produced a lot of innings, and World Cup is just an added part of that. Virat Kohli, yes, he was in the World Cup in 2011. I agree, he was not the main man. In 2019, when they lost in the semi-finals, he did score 5 half-centuries right along that way, all along. Yes, Rohit Sharma ended up being the main man in the tournament because he scored 5 centuries. But Virat Kohli's innings for India, many a time, have been the ones that have made the difference. And I am saying in terms of that aspect, in terms of AB de Villiers, I think when South Africa has needed it most, that is where I think it has been missing.
All right, we have to move on quickly to Kohli and Sangakkara, the Sri Lankan, who has over 14,000 ODI hundreds. He has played a lot of matches, by the way, over 400, more than the others in this group. But pretty solid stats here for Sangakkara. ODI Cricketer of the Year 2011 and 2013. First Sri Lankan to pass 14,000 runs in ODI. Second most half-centuries, 93 in ODI cricket. First player to score 400s in a single Cricket World Cup. Most consecutive centuries in a single World Cup, 4 of them. Most runs as a wicket-keeper batsman in ODIs, and the first wicket-keeper batsman to score over 10,000 runs in one-day international cricket. David Brooke, the Sri Lankan, has excited fans for a long time. As we said, his career in ODI cricket has been pretty long, but these stats look pretty impressive, don't they?
Yeah, they do look impressive, and Sangakkara would walk into most sides in an ODI format, but into this side, with the quality of the other players that we're looking at today, he might just fall short.
He might. All right, interesting point there. Kerry Scott, Kohli Sangakkara.
He has fallen just short of the mark.
Oh, he has. Faz.
In no uncertain terms.
Why do you say that, though?
I mean, he has longevity,
yes,
but at the end of the day, he has really not set the ODI stage alight.
Yes.
You know, when you look at what the other players who he has, who he's going up against, what they have done compared to what he has done,
yes,
he just falls a little bit below in terms of his average, also his strike rate, things of that nature.
All right, Faz?
But certainly, I'm sure he had some very good World Cup moments.
He did. Faz, do you agree with Kerry and the others who are not favouring Kumar?
I realize he's hammering this drum about World Cup moment, but I'll ignore it for the moment, simply because we have more important fish to fry later on in this discussion. But he's right. I mean, Sangakkara is a world-class player.
Yes.
But can we say that we think of him automatically when we think of the giants of batsmanship in ODI cricket? And that's what it comes down to. We're only allowed to pick 3. And for all the numbers, he's a world-class player. He's played so many one-days. Obviously, his numbers will be compelling, but not compelling enough.
All right, Faz, since we're with you, we'll stay with you as we look at IVA Richards. I've listened keenly to everyone who has spoken so far, and we have to say that having chosen Sachin Tendulkar and Rohit Sharma as the two opening batsmen, there are people in constructing a team like to talk about left-hand, right-hander, but they seem to be all right-handers being favoured here at the moment. IVA Richards, first in ODI history to achieve 20 Man of the Match awards, held the record for the highest percent of teams total until 2017, 69.48% he did that. First player to smash a ton and take 5 wickets in an ODI. First player to complete the double of 1,000 runs and 50 wickets in one-day international cricket. Fazir Mohammed on IVA Richards.
I will just say 2 things. IVA Richards walking out a bat in a ground that is full, and the buzz that is generated by just his mere presence on the field of play. And 2, when he got out in that 1983 World Cup that the West Indies we all took for granted were going to win, that was the difference. Viv Richards was a giant among giants. And I don't even know why we're even having this discussion as to why Viv Richards should not be in this trio.
Okay, David Brooke, the man from England, a venue or a country that Viv experienced some of his most glorious moments.
Yes, indeed. I mean, outside Antigua, this is probably his the next centre for the Viv Richards Appreciation Society, as you say, because of the astonishing innings he played. So many spring to mind. That wonderful innings at Lord's in the World Cup. I mean, Viv has to be in this. I know that we're being guided that way, whether we're being railroaded or, if you like, I'd say pushing at an open door as far as I'm concerned. And I noticed he's only 4th in the viewers' poll. And we need to get him up there. I mean, he's an automatic picker. I'm right behind Fazir on this one. A giant amongst giants. First name on the score sheet for me.
Chris Taylor and then Kerry Spott. Yes, Chris, IV Richards.
Yeah, I agree with all the gentlemen have said. I mean, the tenacity in which Viv Richards went about his thing, that fear factor is massive with Viv Richards. I don't think that is compared. Certainly a big occasion, man, as we said, 3 centuries at the World Cup level. We'll say that different persons have different ways to look at it. You could say that, well, Viv Richards in his World Cup exploits were all under the red ball, which is a bit what he was used to. Feeling restrictions weren't the same that it is today. So maybe it was a easier adjustment to ODI cricket. But I think the manner in which Viv Richards went about it to achieve a 90 strike rate in that era is, I think that part in itself is phenomenal. To be able to achieve that when bats weren't what they are and everything was different. So I think, yeah, Viv Richards makes a big statement for himself in all the different eras. He does tick the boxes. As I said, in every World Cup he played except the first one, he was in the top 5 in terms of most runs in each of those events.
Yeah, Kerry Scott. IV Richards.
I mean, this is a no-brainer. Yeah, it's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
Viv has really and truly shown just how dominant he was in his era. And I believe if he even played in this era, he would have been just as dominant. Just his sheer presence. I mean, Fazir said it. And this man walks out. He intimidates not only the players, the bowlers and the fielders, but he intimidates the opposing spectators. You know, he had that type of aura. I remember at one stage in a regional game, he was trying to get the side screen moved, and the man who was at long off thought he was telling him to move, and he was moving, you know, because it's just what Viv said. He had that about him, and in any era that you play, once you have that sort of aura, that sort of dominant aura about you, you're going to dominate people.
All right, Kerry Scott, the ink is ready, gentlemen. We're coming up to voting time. Okay, so Lara, de Villiers, Ponting, and we've got Kohli, Sangakkara, and IV Richards. We've got to get to 3 of those 6. Let's start with Fazir Mohammed out of TNT. Your 3, Faz?
My 3 would be IV Richards, Ricky Ponting, Virat Kohli.
Chris Taylor?
Yeah, Yeah, the Prince of Port of Spain, looking at this graphic, is out for me. The Sri Lankan, even though a big occasion, man, a 73 strike rate just not good enough for me in an ultimate team, so he's out. And finally, IV Richards will get in.
Yeah.
IV Richards, the great Australian Ricky Ponting for me, and the current master, Virat Kohli. AB de Villiers out as well, so same 3 as Faz.
Okay, Viv, Ponting, and Kohli. And Virat Kohli. Or Kerry Scott, your 3 of the 6. Just give us the 3.
Viv, Virat, and AB.
Viv, Virat, and AB. And David Brooke, your 3 from the 6.
Viv Richards, Virat Kohli, looking for a left-hander, maybe a world-class talented left-hander, Brian Charles Lara.
Wow, so BC Lara gets a pick there. So a couple of variations, some consistency, George. In a moment, the producers will give us the final tally. But Viv is certainly safe for sure. I think Ponting was safe.
Two. I think two. Big Ponting.
Yeah. How many had AB de Villiers?
One.
Just one.
Yep.
And there was one for Brian Lara as well.
Yes.
So Ponting and Viv appear to be safe.
Yes.
And Virat Kohli. That sounds like the three.
I'm sure Kohli had what, 2 or 4? I think Kohli had 2 or 4. Well, let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
All right, let's give the zone picks, George, because we had our picks as well. And those are the zone picks. Viv Richards, Virat Kohli, and AB de Villiers. I think that was Kerry Scott's 3 as well.
That was Kerry Scott's 3.
So the zone picks, which will carry 30% weight in the final Ultimate 11 for the ODI team. Batsmen 3 to 5. The zone picks Viv Richards, Virat Kohli, and AB de Villiers. Virat Kohli's, he has been a consistent pick with everyone, I think. Do you recognize that he has scored an ODI 100 every 5 or 6 matches he has played? Significant statistics there.
Yeah.
No one else in this group has that sort of frequency as far as scoring hundreds is concerned. Will our producers give us now the final tally and hence the panelists' choices for batting 3 to 5? Still deliberating. Just listening to them speak, though, George, I think it's leaning to Virat, Viv for sure, and it does appear to me as if Ponting might be that third.
Viv is safe for sure. I think Kohli is safe from the panel.
Yes.
It's a toss-up between Ponting and there's only one de Villiers pick, so it's a little bit dodgy.
Yeah, Zaire Clark's votes will also be included. Of course, Zaire was part of the discussion towards the back end of last week as we started to discuss the batsmen. He apparently went for Kohli, Viv, and de Villiers, so that gives de Villiers one more.
Yep.
So I think de Villiers and
I think he's in.
Yeah, de Villiers may be in.
Yep.
Maybe ahead of Ponting. But of those 6, 3 will disappear in a very short while as we get ready to close this segment here. Remember that your votes are continuing to be important to the process. Your votes as a viewer valuing 40%.
So let me just rephrase something here.
Yes.
So we're saying that Ricky Ponting at his brilliant best is a better choice than Brian Lara at his brilliant best in an ODI team. That's what we're saying.
Well, the panelists are certainly saying that.
Okay.
The online viewers aren't saying that because the online viewers at the moment have Lara at the top spot. So those are the 3 that the panelists have picked. Richards, Kohli,
de Villiers,
and AB de Villiers. I think Zaire Clark's input
gave de Villiers the edge over Ponting.
May have swung it as well. So Viv Richards, Virat Kohli, and AB de Villiers are the batsmen filling the spots 3 to 5, which means, George, that from the openers up to batting position number 5, no left-handers there.
Nope.
All right-handed batsmen.
All right-handed batsmen. I'm just happy that Viv Richards got in because 30 and 30 is 60. How does the Pythagoras theorem go again, Chris? The square and the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the square of the other 2 sides. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So Viv plus Viv equals Viv. So it doesn't matter what happens online. But go and vote. Go and vote. You can't get rid of Sir Viv Richards at all.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we want to thank Fazir Mohammed, Chris Taylor, David Brooke, and Kerry Scott for being the panelists on this Monday to decide on the batsmen 3 to 5. So we now have Rohit Sharma and Sachin Tendulkar as the opening batsmen, then Viv Richards, AB de Villiers, and
AB de Villiers.
Viv Richards, de
Villiers, and Virat Kohli.
And Virat Kohli as the batsmen filling the positions 3 to 5. Just remember that the panelists, as they just voted, will carry 30%. The zone votes also carry 30%. You also have an opportunity to vote at www.sportsmax.tv/ultimate team, and you can tell your friends as well. So get on board and then come and enjoy all the great discussions on the home of champions. The panelists, as we said, have spoken for today, and they have named their batsmen for positions 3 to 5, as has the zone team. Tomorrow, they will deliberate on the wicket-keeping position, so we'll see you then back with the rest of the zone after this.